if Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to The Collective. I knew as soon as I said something. I knew it. I was just waiting for it.
Dude, the faces you pull when things don't work according to plan.
Oh, it drives me nuts. So yeah, we have some great questions and comments and stuff. Things like I've asked for, people hit me up after shows and they're like, hey, that was a great show. Really wanted to, I appreciate it. Thanks for doing what you're doing. I'm like, cool. What was your takeaway? So we got a few takeaways from people. We got a couple questions, a couple statements. Got a whole little
you got a whole thing, don't
mashup.
you?
We got a whole thing going on.
You've got plans.
I got plans.
I tell you what, your plan wasn't looking so good about a minute ago.
Right? Yeah, well, it's your fault, really.
Actually, it wasn't.
100% your fault. You got me started down a rabbit hole that I am now.
Oh, sorry. I explained to you that the thing that you've been drinking for decades is actually something else. Is that what we're talking about?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like the Matrix. You took the wrong colored pill the other day.
And now I'm in a whole nother ball of wax.
That's right.
Researching grinders and different levels of grinding and which particular style of coffee that I want to be able to drink, which requires a particular type of grinder, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I went down a rabbit hole.
There's things to know.
There are things to know. It's almost like it's an entire field in and of itself.
It's kind of like almost an industry.
Huh. Never would have got that before.
I don't know if the stats are still the same, but I believe that coffee is the largest food product export in the world, I believe.
I think it beat out salt back in the day because salt was the big one, and then sugar, and now coffee.
Right.
So, yeah. So, Patrick, morning. Good to see you.
Morning.
The obsession, maybe. Perhaps.
Just a new one, but only for a week, buddy. You'll only have it for a week.
Yeah. 3 or 4 days, maybe.
You'll go really hard for a week.
Going hard in the paint. Until I'm tired, and then I'm moving on to something else. But no, we have so we got some questions. We got some statements, I guess you could call them. And I'm gonna kind of go in order, so we'll try to keep these as quick as possible. But
it's all you.
Any thoughts? Anything off the top of your head?
Subscribe again or something.
Maybe. I mean, we could like the page. We could subscribe. We could hit the notification bell. Apparently, that has an algorithmic function. Do all those things.
It's a benefit.
I think it is a benefit. I think more people should do it. But let's dive into something right now, unless you got something else.
All right. No, I'm just making sure that I'm checking all of your boxes for you.
Good, because I am not hitting any of them today.
You're still wondering what grinder to get, aren't you?
Wait, no, I know exactly what grinder.
You're still 10 minutes in the past.
No, I know exactly which grinder to get.
Oh yeah, which one you getting?
I'm gonna get the Ode version 2.
Oh yes, okay.
And apparently the first one was really messy.
Right, that's what I heard.
Don't like that at all. So the second one, they cleaned that up quite a bit. And then I also started researching, I can't remember the name of it, but like spritzing the beans before you grind them.
Buddy, yes.
So now I'm into that as well. So there's a
welcome to the jungle.
For 3 days. Maybe 4 days.
Maybe 4.
Maybe 4. We'll see.
Maybe by the end of this week.
I'll have you know, though, I have been tracking my food for over a week and a half now. So I'm doing pretty well.
Dude, I wanted to ask you about that. I thought of it last night. I was a little regretful that I didn't hit you up yesterday. It was on my, not list of things to do, but it was something that I wanted to confirmatory check with you. So it's been about a week, right? On
week
pushing
and 4 days now.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the word?
So far, I'm amazed. I'm amazed at how not only little protein I've been having. And yet
somehow I'm not.
You're not. I am.
Right.
Not only the amount of protein, but just the amount of calories in general. I am well below what I am outputting every day.
And most. Yeah.
So that was the initial like, holy geez. And then but physically, I feel more energetic.
Your eyes look sparklier.
Yeah. And I have more acuity for things. Like I can really focus on stuff a lot more.
Oh, look at you. That word alone demonstrates the level of acuity you've achieved.
I had an epiphany about this too. I don't know if it's an actual
And epiphany is what?
and an epiphany. It's
Dude,
oh my goodness.
it's an
Everything
acute
today.
epiphany,
Yeah,
perhaps.
maybe. But so let's tighten up here. Let's
All
get a
right, let's
real
do that.
no, the big thing I was thinking was the fact that as a kid, I really struggled to put on weight. I really
Dude, you're a
wanted to put on
beanpole.
weight. And absolutely. But I started thinking about the amount of protein that I used to get as a kid, and it was slim to none
Mm,
actually at times because my stepdad and my mom, they would make food and it was high in carbs,
of
lots of
course.
pastas, stuff like that,
Get your mac and cheese on.
and lots of salads, like
Mm,
Greek salads and
right.
tabbouleh and things that didn't have a ton of protein in them to begin with. They were
Mhm.
filling and they were
Mind you,
delicious, but
tabouleh's not too bad. I mean, for
couscous,
protein.
it's got some, but it's that wasn't like a regs. I just remember that one
Yeah,
because
yeah, fair enough, fair
it
enough.
was fun to
Yeah.
say.
You're
Tabbouleh.
putting I mean, you're on a roll. You've hit acuity and you've hit epiphany. Now you've hit tabbouleh.
Man, I'm killing it. I'm
Dude,
gonna add into the
you're an entire
bruschetta.
dictionary today.
So that was one of the
Bruschetti.
big thing. One thing I noticed was the fact that I started thinking about how at times where I really could not put on muscle. And there was a period where I spent in high school where I was playing football and I was in the gym every day. Every day. I didn't know what I was doing, but I should have seen some sort of growth. None at
Mm,
all. And
mm.
I fought with it and fought with it and fought with it, and I never could do it. So I think protein probably was a large factor in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, diet as a whole, not enough people know enough about it. And I mean, by now you should,
I should.
but you were never taught it as a kid. You were never taught it in the army. You were never taught when you left the army, but you should already know these kind of things. It should be like literally fundamental. And yet
Mhm.
there's this massive gap out there in society in respect to knowledge and about nutrition. It's wild.
Yeah. So right now my average for the week, I think in terms of let me get the actual number here for you.
Oh, you got all tracky, did you?
Oh, I told
Oh,
you.
good
I went
man.
hard in the paint for like 3 days.
Nice work.
um not letting me open it up. There we go. So over the week, last week, average was 1,666 calories in, 3,000 calories out,
Dude, you were starving yourself.
basically. Yeah.
Do,
So,
have you ever do you, so what I should have mentioned to you is because sometimes I just assume that people know how to spell nutrition, but it turns out they don't. Um, the basal metabolic, your basic metabolism that you burn just like breathing and blinking as you sit there, or
mhm,
actually more correctly, let me set the stage so that you'll better understand it, is when you wake up in the morning, you first open your eyes and you're breathing and you've just your first eye open.
yep,
Whatever calories you've been burning throughout the night, that's it's not free. Like as you breathe, you're burning calories. As your brain dreams, you're burning calories. As you blink your eyes, you're burning calories. If you just spend the entire day in bed, blinking and breathing, not even get up out of bed to go to the bathroom, just lay there, you're burning calories.
mhm,
And the more you think as you lay in bed, the more calories you burn. And so your basal metabolic rate, um, you need to understand that, like a guy your size, your height, even though you're a rake, you're probably burning like, I don't know, 1,700 cals just blinking.
yeah,
That doesn't account for, as I used to explain to my athletes, is determine your basal metabolic count, and then beyond that, every time you additionally blink or breathe, it's extra calories. When you get up out of bed, it's extra calories. You walk downstairs, you forget to put on socks, you walk back upstairs, put the socks on, walk back downstairs. That's calories.
yeah,
Everything is calories. And so you've got your just existing calories every day that you can't escape from, you need to replace. And then you've got like some people think, okay, I'm going to go do a workout at the gym. And my gym time is, we'll say it's 90 minutes. And in that time, I burn 750 calories. Who cares what the number is?
Yeah.
Well, those calories have got to be made up as well. But so do the calories that are burned when you change into your gym gear, walk out of your house to your car, get into your car, drive and get out. As you walk from your car in the parking lot into the gym, it's not free.
Yeah.
It's calories. And so the idea being that you, before you even lifted a finger or blinked an eye, you were already in a deficit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I have lived in this deficit basically my entire life.
It's
So
unhealthy.
it is unhealthy, which makes sense of why I had like joint problems. Why I've had not so much that like maybe I'm more prone to injury, but I just don't have enough of really anything. And so I've been yeah, it's been blowing my mind.
Yeah, you
Just
got to learn to eat again. And
I
it's
don't
not
even know how to do that.
that's right. That's right. You don't, that's right. So you got to learn how to eat again. And I was going to say, but lucky you, because now you get the branching point decision of what most people will do is think, oh, I need to eat more, and then give it no more thought, just like you
Yeah.
have for most of your life.
Yep.
And just eat whatever. Or you get to realize, okay, I need to take on another 1,000 calories a day of mega awesome rocket fuel.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And dude, it's, I mean, it's game changing.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been in, you've been on bread and water.
For most of my life. And the funny thing is that that's with the increased protein.
Right.
So like even before that, I was getting maybe 50 to 60 grams a day
Right.
for my, like, it's not even close to being
Right. That's,
yeah,
it's, you
blowing
know,
my mind.
it's blowing your mind, but it is not blowing my mind because you are everyone else. I
Yeah.
mean, you literally are the representation of everybody that I know, other than any person that I've worked with on a one-to-one basis
Yeah.
or as an athlete or whatever. I mean, you're just the perfect representation of, I was going to say how not to do it, but it's how it's being done.
The gold standard of what is being done.
What is being done?
Yeah. The gold standard of complete and total ignorance.
Yeah, and it's
At the end of the day, that's what it is.
it doesn't make you it doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you the norm.
Mhm. Well, I am not fully aware. I am just becoming aware of my normalcy. And now because I'm aware, now I can actually do something about it.
Yeah,
So-
remember when you used to think you were a badass?
You know
Remember
what?
when you used to think you knew a lot of stuff?
Considering the fact that I knew absolutely nothing and was eating nowhere near enough food.
Dude, I'm
I did some
surprised
pretty
you're
amazing
even sitting
stuff.
up straight right
Right?
now.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I kicked some ass for being basically starving myself my whole life.
I mean, using words like acuity in a sentence, that
Dang.
probably used your entire day's worth of calories.
Right there, I just saw a little ding on my phone, like ding. There was 100 calories just for the word.
That's right. That's right. Imagine eating another 100 calories, dude. You could be William Shakespeare and you don't even know it.
I could be, and man, I can't even imagine the amount of growth. And this is, I've said this before on many different podcasts. Was like I put on 30 pounds in the first year of being in the Army. And a lot of that was because we were eating 3 full meals a day, and you're working all day. So you're just like, I'm running that deficit, but at a higher level.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's where I put all my weight. But now that I'm sitting behind a desk talking to my computer most days.
But
right?
you know, I weigh what I weighed at 20. Right now, I'm the exact same weight. All of my suits fit me from 40 years ago. I could still, if I had a pair of jeans from back then, they would fit me perfectly. And it's
Yep.
because I've spent my entire life not doing you. I've spent my entire life doing me, and me means every single day, consistent effort, learning more, doing more. And
Mm.
that's a phase of your life that you skipped, but now you're making up for it. So that's good.
Well, and it's a I skipped because it was a
No, you skip. Don't even point anything at anything. You just skipped. You
yeah,
skipped.
yeah,
And
100%.
and you can say it's because I was raised, it's because I was this. There is no excuse. You
No, not
skipped a whole
excuse.
chunk of your life.
No, I was saying that I think due to a I don't know, genetic differences between people, right? Just the fact that perhaps my metabolism is faster or
No.
whatever,
What
which
it
is not.
is you skipped. You
Yeah.
skipped thinking
Okay.
about anything.
I didn't have to. That's and
You
therefore
didn't
I
have
didn't.
to. That's
And
right.
that exactly. That's what I was
Yeah.
getting at was that
And
I
and a
didn't have
week
to.
ago you didn't have to. And that's why, or I guess a week and a half ago you didn't have to even spell nutrition.
Nope.
Can you imagine a whole decade of like not thinking?
I can.
Dude, you lost a decade.
Yeah. Well, I've lost more than that. And the thing is, it's not even quite lost. It is just gone. It's used without being utilized.
I think they're the same word, but yeah, it's you lost a decade of improvement potential. Like literally, you could be Shakespeare and
I
you
could
don't
be
freaking know it.
using acuity
But seriously, I mean,
regularly.
if you'd have if you were running a better program more correctly, if you would have engaged in running a better program,
Yep.
which you didn't,
Hmm.
then you'd be in a lot better position right now. But you've started doing that recently, so I'm not going to say it's catch up time because you lost that decade, kind of thing. But it is kind of get with the program time, I suppose. Drinking coffee for the first time in your life. You know what I'm saying?
I've had a lot of firsts in the last little while, so this is
Yeah,
good.
but that the point being that you lost time. Now you're not making up for time. You're in the game time now.
Mhm.
And that should be exciting for you because you should be what you didn't have 10 years ago was some wisdom.
Yep.
You're wiser now than you were 10 years ago, of course.
Mhm.
But you weren't doing anything 10 years ago. Now you just started doing something this week, we'll call it. Well, now you get to apply at least wisdom against the process that you couldn't have done 10 years ago, I suppose. It's not
Yep.
like you're in a deficit. It just means that you missed a bunch of time.
Yeah. It's it is what it is, right? And I do have the experience,
Yeah,
but not only experience, I have the circle now,
that's true.
right?
That's true.
I have people that I can look to and say, "What do you think about this?" And then when they give me their honest opinion, I go, "Oh, cool." And then I can do some more research, and then I can develop my concepts from there. Whereas 10 years ago, I didn't have any of that.
Yeah,
I
but
had
and why is that? I mean, because like I look at you and I think, okay, Chance Bros is a smart guy. He knows how to read. He knows how to do this, that, and the other thing. But you literally can't spell nutrition right now. And so, I mean, you can, but
I
you
get it.
not capitalize the
Yeah.
N.
Yeah, exactly.
So, how is that? How is it that no one ever sat you down and said, let's talk about some really fundamental things about how to live.
I
Like
think
no one ever sat you down and did that ever.
no, not once. And I think a
No,
lot of
no
it
one in the Veterans Affairs system. No other bro vet.
nope.
I'm the first guy to challenge you on nutrition.
Yep.
Wow,
Yep.
what a massive failure.
And
Not you. I mean,
well, me as well.
none. Well, yeah, of course, but I mean, I've already pointed the finger
Yeah.
at you. But I mean, like now I'm talking about the even bigger,
Broader community.
the even more evident failure is that the system failed you. You failed yourself by not taking the initiative to go like really
Yeah.
explore, I would suppose. But the system definitely failed you because in absence of you having the adventurous spirit to go figure out things in the void, well, there should have been a system wrapped around you to cajole you or to poke you or to calibrate you or to check in with you or to educate you or to whatever, get you headed in the right direction. So, you being the case study now, what it indicates to me, which I've known for some time, the level of or the lack of level of knowledge on some real fundamental things that all veterans should be aware of, obviously, in respect to performance. And so sometimes I hear people out there talking about make sure you do this, this, and this, and I think to myself, well, yeah, of course, everyone knows that, but as it turns out, not everyone does know that. And the other aspect is I hear people saying, well, do this, this, and this. And that second this is wrong. Wrong in the sense of that certainly isn't standardized within the athletic community, or that isn't standardized within the coaching community, or that isn't a standardized model within the science driven, etc.
Mhm.
So, that this, and this, the two bookends might be correct, but the one in the middle is off base. And so it's not only a matter of you've got to go out and seek information, but you've got to go out and seek information from reliable sources that aren't just throwing out this, and thises randomly.
I think
So
also the problem with that is the fact that right now, with this great communication network that I, keep harping on the fact that it's great that we have it, is that it's hard. It's really hard to sift through when you come in from
it
absolutely
is.
no knowledge and then say, where like who do I even listen to? Because there's just a million voices. Just
There is. I almost quit the
right?
internet at one point just based on the level of disinformation in respect to athleticism and how to coach people. I mean, for a while there, I want to say several years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago, I was thinking that there was an active, I mean, I wasn't really thinking it, but I could see almost an active pursuit of disinformation. Uh, if you were a layman, if you didn't know anything, and you were entering into performance related sports or what have you, it's almost like the level of disinformation out there is almost purposeful. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
how can anyone be so stupid to recommend such stupid things? Obviously, they're doing it deliberately stupidly because no one can be that stupid if you're saying that. So, I mean, honestly, there's some things out there that are so grossly disinformation based that it I almost like bounce. I'm like, I'm out of here. I don't want
Mhm.
anything to do with this. It's just too dumb.
I think it's also similar to the reason why people don't want to get into politics, right? Good leaders don't want to dive into the swamp to try and
I've
sort it
said it.
out.
There's no way I will.
And there's similar situation with the internet is that the people that really want good information, they who have sat down and done the research and say, okay, well, this is the right stuff. They're one in maybe 20
Oh,
versus
they're
the other
much
19
rarer
are
than
just
that. Yeah.
screaming from the top of their lungs about whatever it is and that's one of the issues is that I could probably look up online right now the benefits of smoking and find benefits of smoking.
You could cherry pick something out of it for
For
sure.
sure, and
Yeah.
you could sit there and be like,
Right off the top of
are
my
you
head, the first one
friggin'
that comes
kidding
to
me?"
mind is like, well, I mean, the good thing about cigarettes is it gives you something to do with your hand.
There you go.
There you go. You won.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think that's one of the issues, especially with nutrition too, because it is a boutiqued system at the extent of it. Right?
Right.
What is
If you're
good for you is not gonna
that's
be
right.
100% good for me.
That's right.
And that is one of the challenges is that as you get more and more into the general knowledge of nutrition, now it starts to splay out into different fields.
It does. It does.
And so
But there's
it's
no need
challenging.
to even consider any of that.
True.
I mean, that's like,
Like down the road.
whoa. I can't even see that far. That's how far away that is.
Yeah.
I mean, just the simple rule of thumb of, hey, bro, get your body weight minus or your lean body weight, and get that in grams of protein, and you're good to go. And if that's all that you apply, you're doing far better than most.
Yeah.
So you don't have to understand the minutia of a fast acting carb and its uptake rate and how it impacts your insulin curve and how you're going to feel that XYZ dot 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 whatever. You don't even need to spell insulin.
Yeah.
You just got to get your freaking protein, Chance Burls. That's a good start, you know?
And I'm working on that, and that's even then still very hard
It is
because
hard.
I'm 180, maybe 180 pounds worth of lean, right? I sit at about 200,
That's what we figured was 180,
right?
190, right?
Yeah, somewhere in there. And on my thing, I'm still at like I'm working on getting protein, and I'm still only at like 130 on
Yeah.
on a good day.
Right.
And
Right.
that's 2 shakes during the day
Yeah,
of
so,
like,
don't beat yourself up too bad that, you're not meeting your target, because you're literally doubling what you were taking on, just over a week and a half ago.
yeah,
So, you're off to the races. Now, in time, I would say even this, that it's not a terrible thing that you're under your target right now, because it's going to let your body get used to metabolizing that amount of protein and not too much nitrogen, yada,
yeah,
yada, whatever.
which it's never done before.
Biology.
Yeah.
And so in a few weeks, maybe you'll be closer to hitting your target and it will feel more correct for you. And
Mhm.
for now, it might feel forced for you. So don't make your existence miserable. You've already come to the realization that you were under targeting. It's hard to meet your target. You're making an effort. Let it play out for another week or two. Eventually, you'll be hitting your target.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it more as a progressive scale, right? I want it to be, I don't want to just smash in
Well, that's
180
right.
grams of protein every day just for the sake of doing it. I
Well,
want it
do
to
it one
be,
day and then, yay, Chance Burrows won nutrition again.
haha,
Chance Burrows knows
yes,
nutrition.
peace out.
He got
3 days
180
later.
grams. Bam. Now it's time to paint the fence.
Yeah. I would have to take right now with the protein I have, which is only 25 grams of protein per scoop. I'd be
Mm,
taking 2 scoops 3 times a day
mm.
just to get even close.
You might even try this thing called whole food. I mean, like actual foods have
What?
proteins in them. I'm just
What?
saying.
Your
It's
craziness.
You can even like combine rice and beans to get a full protein profile. I mean, it's weird. It's so weird.
You are crazy.
I know.
Crazy man.
I only heard
Crazy.
about it in the grocery store lineup. I'm not sure if it's true or not. It could be.
Could very well be, but let's there's definitely a rabbit hole here, and I think, you know what, after maybe a month or so of like consistent work and tracking, and I think maybe it might be helpful on the show to just go over it. I can pull
Oh,
up
I
the
agree.
actual like
Yeah,
things and we can look at it and break it down and do stuff from there.
agreed.
But yeah, that's the I think that'll be a good plan. Speaking of plans,
Right. I was just
no,
gonna say we're almost half an hour in. Where's your freaking plan?
that's
Other
coming right
than
here.
we've teased you a little bit about nutrition. Are we gonna
Hey,
get on with this show?
we are 100%.
Okay.
As soon as I hit the button right here, boom. So this is a particular question, and then there's a few other statements that kind of go and
Okay.
coincide with it. So I just wanted to give that a heads up. So it reads, the portion in regards to conviction. This is in reference to the episode on the 15th that we did about. I called it the calibration, the chances calibration or something
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Okay.
When you and I were sitting down breaking down what was going on. The portion in regards to conviction is having your conviction ebb and flow during life, or let's say while in service, a bad thing. Reason why I ask is in my case, my conviction towards my service has changed multiple times, dependent on my location, team, personal mindset. And at the moment, the conviction to do things for self has switched to do more mentoring for those going up the ranks. So is having your conviction ebb and flow during your life a bad thing?
Mm. I'll be careful when I answer this because it's a great question and the answer is important, and I'll hedge my answer, or I'll hedge my bets by saying this. My answer may not apply to everyone. It will only apply to certain people.
Mm.
So that's for those people to think about when I say what I'm going to say. So I th- I don't think your conviction should ebb and flow if you're in service, Now, if you're an accountant in an institution called large mega corporation, um, whatever, your conviction can ebb and flow. But if you're in service, if you're particularly frontline service, if you're a first responder, if you're Leo, if you're combat arms, as an example, where there's lives at stake, the distinction being that if you're an accountant, lives probably aren't in real time at stake, but the other industries that I just mentioned can be at stake.
Hmm.
In my opinion, conviction has to be solid. I don't think it can be an ebb and flow situation. And so lock that down. If you're looking to externalize your conviction based on evaluating it against helping others around you, etc., that's cool. But make sure before you start doing that, that at your core, your conviction is rock solid. Because there'll be a time when your conviction is called for and you won't be able to externalize it around others. And so you're only relying on yourself for that day or that week or that month or that year. And you need the conviction to deliver against the real time needs of service. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. Makes sense. The
So, so then my point being this, that if you feel like your conviction isn't rock solid, sit down and consider why and whether you need to change that or not. And I'm not saying you have to quit or go to another career or whatever. I'm just saying that figure out why you're missing your conviction
Mhm.
and then take it from there.
I think that's a great point. The challenge, I think, for some is exactly what you're saying. You're externalizing against your location, team, personal mindset, that kind of stuff. But the as we've said it many times on this, is the why, right? Why
It
are you
is.
doing what you're doing? And if you're there for, to look good for those around you, um, that's not a good reason to be in service. If you're there to serve, be there to serve. And I made this mistake very early on, is the fact that I started looking around me instead of looking at me. And
Do you-
that's where my conviction shifted.
this is what the first thought that I had when I read this, and I've been there myself, is when you bounce into a new crew and the team that you've just got bounced into is not tight. They're not
Mm,
organized. They're not squared away. They're actually not that competent. And so when you're in that situation, you can externalize it and say, "God, I'm really not into this anymore because my team is
mhm,
dot dot dot." Whereas if you've got mega conviction, like if you're 100% maxed out for conviction, you can step into any freaking team. You can step into a team of dogs that are just lazing around, waiting to get squared away. You can step into that team, and if you've got the right conviction, it's a non-factor. It's not about the external, it's about what you're gonna do to make things better, how you're
mhm,
going to make all of it better for you and for them. Because it can't be just, I'm going to fix all of them. You've got to work within the problem yourself. You've got to morph. You can't step in large and in charge and say, I'm going to fix this team so that they understand my conviction. You've got to morph it to the team. If it's a bunch of dogs, you've got to morph to the dogs. If it's a bunch of llamas, you got to morph to the llamas. So whatever is in front of you, you've got to adjust your conviction, but the conviction has to be get this gong show squared away.
mm. That's a good point too, because when you're talking about, especially training animals, because we are animals and we are
Mhm.
training people, training dogs, training horses, training blah blah blah. The uh, the work itself, training an animal or a person, has one particular desire, and that your why for doing that is so that you can have consistent results over time. But the methodology which you use is going to be very different between a horse versus a dog
Yep.
versus a human
Any
versus
team.
that human versus that guy versus those person. Like, everything. The methodology may change, but the reason why you're doing it should still be the same.
And
Sound about right?
something that coaches or leaders or small team leaders, or we'll call it maybe a sergeant in the military who's facing these kind of situations. What can happen is someone will realize, okay, I've got to sort this problem out. I'm going to externalize instead of internalize, work on myself. I'm going to work on them, and then get hyper focused on fixing the team, quote unquote, fixing. And you don't spend any time on yourself. And you get so busy in the minutia or the electron microscope of fixing the team that you forget that a year from now or 2 years from now, this team will reconfigure. They'll all be bomb blasting wherever. You'll be bomb blasting wherever. The team will be broken down and reconfigured in a variety of different ways because everyone moves on with their careers or everyone gets retasked or whatever. And so when you're putting your time into someone, it's not like they're going to be there forever. These are like fleeting moments. So you've got to understand what you're putting your energy into isn't just for today. You're actually putting your energy into them for the future. And you've got to use your time wisely, your own time for yourself internally and for the team around you externally. So back to the conviction. Part of your conviction should be to become a better human being. Part of your conviction should be to be excited to help the team. And part of your conviction should be to understand that you're helping the team, and then the team's going to disappear. And you're not going to get a pat on the back for it. You're not going to get a spotlight on it. You just get to invest in the future and get no recognition. So your conviction has to be strong in respect to service in order to do the hard things that never get the pat on the back.
I think that's a great a great point, and that it's not just about. I was thinking as you were talking about it was the fact that if you put all that time and work into changing the team, right? You step into a new team and you're like, okay, everybody, you're going to do that. You're going to do these things. Blah, 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 blah. What happens when you're not there? Because you become the rock in the hard place, right?
You're the conviction.
Yeah,
But the
exactly.
team doesn't have any.
That's right.
So,
that's where I
leadership by
was going with that.
example.
That's exactly it. And Satch, morning.
Morning, buddy.
Yes, and so with that, any other points on this before I think the next slide will kind of play into this as well, but
No,
any other thoughts on that?
I don't want to beat up the comment too hard.
Mhm.
I might have sounded like I was wagging my finger at someone or at the comment or whatever, and I wasn't. I just simply saying that if you're questioning conviction for your service, then it's time to really sit down and question why you're questioning it. Because for service, certainly at the front line, or more correctly, when lives are at stake, conviction has to be squared away.
Yeah. I think there's a little point here that I want to make on this is that to add to what you're saying is that if you are thinking about questioning yourself or if you're questioning what you're doing, if you're in your head sitting there going, what is even going on here?
Yeah,
What am I
why?
doing?
Yeah.
What is this? Don't give up on that. Right? Follow that path. Follow that. I gave up on it. I don't know how many times, right? I sat there in the bay doing nothing. And I'm like, what am I even doing? Why am I even here? And because I didn't actually figure that out, the next goal was, well, then I'm leaving. Right. So if you don't actually follow that path where you go, why am I here? And then figure out why you're here, your next
And I mean, you're
leap is going
still
to
trying
be
to figure that out.
peace. And I am 100%.
Like a decade plus later, you're still trying to process the thing that you didn't process back then. If you could have processed it then, I
Oh
mean,
man.
right?
Yeah. 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 And I've said this a number of times actually. And when people ask me about service in the military, and I was like, I have great pride in my trade, but not so much in my regiment, which is ridiculous because they should be one and the same.
They should be.
And what made it not one and the same was the fact that I did not answer that question. And if I had actually answered that question, I think they would be one and the same.
Yeah,
So
and you know what? It's not fair for you to take 100% of the blame, of course. I mean, that should have been a two-way street. If you can't understand one thing, then the institution wrapped around you should be explaining that thing to you, helping you understand the part that you're missing. And you know, maybe they can't explain the part that you're missing.
yeah,
And maybe you're not the right fit, and maybe you shouldn't have been there, and blah blah blah, but through an active process, things are discovered.
yep.
What's never discovered is when you sit on your arse and think, why am I even here? But I'm going to
No,
think that tomorrow as well. So I'll wait till then.
let's not even wait till then. It was well, if I can't figure it out right now, I'm out of here.
Yeah, hang on a sec. But how many days in a row did you not out of here?
So many.
That's
So
right.
many. And that but that affects everything else. And the thing I didn't realize was how much it affected um all the people around me. Right? I showed up at work every day angry
Hmm.
and resentful and bitter and blah 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 and all these things sitting there going like, what am I even why am I here? Like,
And so I think we have talked about it a
yeah,
little bit in the past, but at the moment that you know every day that you were being a total dick, did you know that you were being that?
no,
Hmm.
no. I did not have the introspection or thought of I actually thought I was like I was sitting there, I'm like, why is it not happening to me? And I heard this quote, listened to a Jocko podcast earlier this morning or yesterday, was if you're so smart, why aren't you winning? And that one, like it hit me like a friggin' hammer. And I was like, man, if somebody had asked me that back then, that would have changed everything. But
Yeah. How is it that you know you're showing up to work as a dick every day, but you think that you're in special
right?
operations? You
Exactly.
know, and so why is that? I think it's because there was literally no one around you that didn't grab you by the scruff of the collar and say, "Are you freaking kidding me right now?" With me on the obstacle course.
Yeah. Yeah. There was none of that. No.
I mean, that's all it takes, man. You want to
I
recalibrate someone, grab them by the scuff of the collar and drag them out and explain to them in no uncertain terms, leadership by example,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Unfortunately, and I look at this now as an unfortunate thing. I used to think that it was, I'm just awesome. Was the fact that when tasked, I worked. Right? If somebody said, "Burls, go do that," I'd be like, "Roger," and I get it done. There'd be no. I didn't need extra supervision. I didn't need any direction. But in between the points of time where Burls go do this and Burls go do that, I was just sitting there like,
Oh, so you were only half a Jason Bourne.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
So, but the thing that I call unfortunate about it is the fact that it allowed me to get lazy because I didn't have to like, oh my god, I got to figure this out. It was whatever
Dude,
they gave me. I was
not
like,
only did it allow you
yeah,
to
no
get
problem.
lazy,
I did.
it cemented your
Oh,
laziness. I
100%.
mean, look, I mean, freaking coffee.
Yeah,
It's literally the perfect example of how
100%.
lazy you got to be.
Yeah, and it was because I could. And
Yeah,
this is
because
where I
no
say
one's
it's
challenging you.
exactly. Yeah.
Not even yourself.
No. And it was it was funny because I would look at other people that would challenge themselves and I'd be like, what is wrong with you? Versus like I'd see people just killing themselves
Right,
on the dive prelim or something like that and I'd be
right,
like, why?
right,
I didn't even understand. Now I
right,
do. I have a better understanding. I don't know if I truly
right.
understand why, but I have a better understanding why now.
So if what would you your understanding now, we'll call it, of three-quarter Jason Bourne understanding. So
Let's calm down here. Let's not go that far.
all right, you're right, you're right.
Give me like 0.58
Yeah,
or
I
something.
mean, that's not crazy. So you know, your understanding now versus your understanding of, we'll call it 20 years ago as the example. What's the biggest lesson you would impart upon yourself 20 years ago?
I can. That was the one thing that I always can't say always. The one thing that I have only recently discovered was I can. Not only can I, or not only should I, not only is it good for me, not only is all of these things like, you could achieve and you could do these things, blah 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 blah, but I actually can. And the doubt as a 20-year-old of watching somebody else smash pull-ups or something like that, and me going, well, that's just not going to work for me. I can actually do that many pull-ups. I just have to put the work in first.
Mhm.
And that was where the disconnect for me was the fact that I would see others act and go, sure wish I could do that. Just and like, well, I can't. So therefore,
So was it a matter of you hobbled yourself, or you just thought, well, they can do it, I can do it, maybe I'll start tomorrow? Or did you think they can do it, I can't do it, I'll never give it a try?
yeah, it was. I hobbled myself. It was, I
Mm.
can't do it right now, and therefore I'm not going to put any effort into it.
All right.
And that was one. And I would come up with freaking excuses left, right, and center. Anything I could say. What I mean, I used to, and there's science behind this, but it's not enough to really depend on this. But
Oh, yes.
so I have longer arms, right? I'm a heavier guy, which means that pull-ups are technically harder for me,
Mhm.
technically,
Mhm.
but
We
not
should
enough,
run that past Mark Ormrod,
right?
maybe. Yeah.
But not it's not a like a definable like, oh, it's harder for you, so we're gonna lower the standard.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's
it's
just
just
like
definable in the sense of it, the term is called weak,
yes,
basically.
exactly,
Yeah.
100%. Um,
Mentally.
mentally weak,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But that's what it was, and it throughout my whole life up until just recently, that has been um who says it's technically harder, and why would it be harder?
Well,
uh
Chance Burl says it's
I
technically
says it's
harder, that's why he
technically harder.
doesn't
Come
do
on
them.
now. It was biomechanically speaking, right? I'm pulling more weight a longer distance. That's all. That's what, and it's not.
Which is what every guy thought who is your height and crushed out all of the chin-ups.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's garbage. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like the technicality is like it's
Yes.
it's
The science of physics states that Chance Burls will find it a tiny bit harder than someone like me.
and therefore I was like, I'm not going
Therefore,
to do
you
it.
shouldn't.
I
Yeah,
shouldn't,
therefore, you
exactly.
will not
It's
approach the
harder for
chin-up
me.
bar.
Yeah,
It's hard for
exactly.
you.
Yeah.
It's
So
hard.
I know it's ridiculous now
It is.
to think back and go, what, like, where would I even come up with that? First
Right.
off,
I mean,
uh,
and it must have been thoroughly disappointing to you to realize that special operations guys do chin-ups.
lots of them.
What a bummer, man.
And this is another one of the things that like I wanted to be a jumper, and I sat there and looked at the pull-up bar, and I was like, I should do more pull-ups. Well, and I'm like,
Yeah, maybe the pull-up bar will come over to me and do them for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it was ridiculous, ridiculous.
So then you have this realization now, of course. You didn't have the realization back then.
Hmm.
So w- how do you how do you get right with that? Like, I mean, how do you do you just shrug your shoulders and say, "Oh, yeah, whatever."
There's a little bit of that, but I mean, honestly, it's the understanding that that was a lesson I needed to learn, and at the time, I wasn't ready to learn it.
Mm,
Like I had so much insecurity that I had this. I don't know. It was so much insecurity back then, and I look at it as a learning.
well, you
Like,
probably got some still. I mean,
oh
because
yeah,
like when we've been hanging out for some time now,
hmm,
feels like what? It feels like it's been about 7 years. So while we've been
on my
hanging out,
3
I
recce
mean,
patrols.
that's right. You kind of have come across right from the get-go as being reasonably squared away, knowing quite a few things, doing this, that, and the other thing. And yet, that's not true. But at face value, you kind of represent that. I
Mm.
mean, from an outside perspective, you look like that dude does it all. I don't think that. I
I
mean,
get it. Yep.
obviously, come on,
Yeah.
please. But I mean, like, there's people out there that are going to think that you don't have any insecurities, that you are doing all of this stuff, that blah blah blah. You've got a lot of things figured out, and what the heck? This conversation doesn't make any sense. Chance Burles doesn't do chin ups. What? He ran away from the chin up bar, but he wanted to be in the special operations. I mean, the dichotomy or the
Oh
disconnect
yeah.
between those two things are like a fascinating conversation that I don't think people hear too much about. So, it to me, what it represents is we've all got a bunch of things that we need to work on, whether people believe it or not. Like, if someone thinks that you're large and in charge, you're just large. And so, and by the way, underfed large,
Way underfed.
way underfed. So, people without these kind of conversations at face value, just checking in randomly from time to time, might think that you or I are standing up on a little podium or a little
Mhm.
pedestal and talking about it's I don't have any problems. I've got all the answers. That's why I'm here, to give all the answers. But that's not true at all. The point of this, what we do over here, I believe, is to have these open conversations and figure
Yep.
things out for ourselves
Yep.
amongst each other, either you and I or you and a panel or whatever the case is.
I think that's how I've squared up with what's happened.
Mm.
Is that I came to a conclusion that I need to be 100% authentic. 100% authentic, and that
Mhm.
all of the insecurities and the bad days and the friggin' depression and all of everything, I needed to put it out to the world, because it's real easy to paint a picture, especially on Instagram or on whatever, right? Like, you can paint a picture of whatever you want. I can make it look like I am friggin' squared away 100% all the time. I can make it look that way.
Not anymore. I mean, there
Not
was
anymore. No.
at one point you could, but not anymore.
I don't think I ever could. I think I tried for sure.
We all
There
do,
was a period of
probably.
time where I tried, but that I came to that realization of just like, okay, all of the stuff that I have done up leading up until now has led me to this point so that I can learn this lesson. Okay, the lesson I'm at least now going, that was dumb.
Mhm.
Check. Now I can move on, but not just move on, utilize it. Utilize the experience. It was a bad experience. Right? Looking back on it, I could have done more. I could have done lots
So
more, but I
so
didn't.
you say something, you're saying some things there that I just wanna figure out between the two of us. So,
Mhm.
you're talking about you want to be authentic, and you have been, I believe. And you are openly talking about, sometimes I have tough days, depression, and et cetera, et cetera. There's a slippery line between, or slippery slope between, I'm having a tough day and moaning,
Yes,
approaching that victim mentality. And
100%.
so, in trying to be authentic, it can just turn into day after day whining.
Mhm.
Whereas I believe that you can be authentic and be having a bit of a hard day, we'll call it, but you can focus on helping others in that day by stating things like, man, I just realized that I've been botching protein. So here's what I've learned over the last little while. And so you can kind of turn your own mistakes into positive lessons for others.
Yeah.
It's not being inauthentic, it's being authentic. But what most people struggle with is like shining the spotlight on how dumb they've been. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, who wants
Yeah.
to do that?
Yeah.
But it's the thing that has to happen
Yeah.
because it's not about how dumb we've been. It's about how much better people can do it based on learning from our own mistakes.
100%. And that's basically where I was going with that. As you're clarifying, I should have clarified earlier, was the fact that in those moments of like, I'm having a bad day or I'm in the middle of a depressive episode or whatever, what I always tried to do was to put it as an example, like, hey, I'm having a bad day, but I went for a walk today. Or,
Mm,
you know, I can't focus, I can't do whatever, but I'm putting this out here on Instagram as a reel so that everyone else can see that I can still, like, I can do this.
Mm.
And I tried to be an example, and it sucks. You're right. Just pointing out all your, oh, I screwed
Mhm.
this up, and I screwed this up, and I screwed this up, and I screwed this up. But what I also realized is that that's what you guys do
Yeah,
regularly to
always.
yourself, right?
Yeah,
And that's how you get better. Because if you
I
hide
think
it,
so.
if you throw it off to the side, or like, oh well, I can't let anybody see the fact that I I was immature and I didn't know and I made a mistake. Yeah, of course you did. Yeah,
Yeah,
you were
well,
immature
everyone
and
does.
didn't know, and yeah, everyone makes mistakes. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I actually told my I told my son, told my son this yesterday, was the fact that, he was upset because I think he left a light on or something like that, and I called him on it, and I was like, "Hey man, you got to come turn the light off." And he came sauntering back, was all like, turn the light off, and I was like, "Dude, it's okay. We make mistakes. I'm holding you accountable. You should hold me accountable." And he goes, "Like when I tell you to put your phone away?" And I was like, "Yeah, exactly like that. You hold me accountable. I hold you accountable. We both get better. Win-win."
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
it's a good I was gonna say it's a good game to encourage with your children, but it's a good way of life,
it
and,
really
you
is.
gotta set the standard early.
And that's my goal now, is that, I can't change what happened in the military. I can't change my career. I can't change how much effort I put in back then versus
That's right.
what I can't change any of that. But what I can do is I can be an example for the future.
Well, you can't change any of that, but you can change your mind,
100%.
and your mindset full of regret, full of self-doubt, full of this, that, the other thing, whatever, "I wish I hadn't, I wish I blah, blah, blah," whatever. It's all gone.
Hmm.
All you've got is now and the lessons that you learn from it and doing better in the future. That's it, that's all. And just the realizations that you've had over some time now. I mean, those are all good things, but not just for you, buddy,
Hmm.
for everyone around you, to include this platform.
That's what I'm hoping for. And Satch has got a great comment here. I think I'm going to connect with Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson and get his expert opinion on the physics of me doing pull-ups.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to say 100% that I am 99% wrong about that situation. I know that
Now, you know that you
mechanically
are right.
speaking,
Mechanically speaking,
yeah,
it is a bit more difficult for you.
but not enough for
But neither of us can see enough difference there to actually touch it, so there's that.
Yeah, it is one of those things that again, that's brings up a great point, is that the power of our minds. And there is a great line by I believe it's Henry Ford. He says, "Whether you can or you can't, you're right."
Mhm,
And I think that is, it's not only astute, but it is 100% accurate, because
mhm.
what you tell yourself matters.
Well, it does, and as you were saying that, alls I could think of was, a guy who's taller than you, bigger than you. We used to call him Big Bry. Uh, call Big Bry up to kick the door.
Hmm.
Uh, like, somehow that guy didn't struggle with the chin-up bar.
I imagine he had some sort of magic that
Yeah,
made
I
him better.
believe, he's probably part of the Neil deTyson, fan club, and he was wearing a Magic T-shirt that day
Yeah, yeah,
called "Not Weak."
yeah. I think it was just a um, general magic that no one could ever
Yeah, called
explain.
the law of motion.
Yeah, perhaps effort,
Right.
something like
Motion.
that. But is what it is. So we got through one question today on our
Yeah,
questions
that's
from the
right, I
interwebs,
suppose.
and we're at an hour now. But
Did you have a whole bunch of them?
I got a bunch, so we can
See,
carry on
I never know.
tomorrow. Yeah.
This could literally have been the whatever topic we just talked about, this could have been your main question, I have no idea. But
Well,
it doesn't matter to me, of
it
course, because I
doesn't, no.
enjoyed the combo.
Yeah, there's some really good one. There's some more good comments here, and we'll carry it on. Probably, well, we'll see. But we'll get it sorted, and we will carry on with more information for
So
the
just
interwebs. And
one. We covered one
we
topic
covered
today.
one over an
Okay.
hour. Yeah.
Was it a value, do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
First off, it was a good question, and it led to the development of quite a bit. So
Okay.
I think it was accurate. I mean, those of you watching, did we offer value to you?
Well, if
Let's
you
put
get
it that
any
way.
feedback, I'm curious because I never know.
Well, I'm keeping you in
Just
the
over
dark for
here
a reason.
doing our best.
Nope. Never gonna
Not
let
on the
you know.
chin-up bar.
Not on a chin-up bar though. But that's still one of my skill sets that I am working on is my chin-up. So we're working on. I got a rotator cuff issue going on,
Me
and
too.
yeah, it's they're painful. I've never had them before.
Oh,
So,
yeah?
no,
Wow.
it's been. I had this particular shoulder. I actually had surgery on, so I tore a bunch of ligaments in there, and now I'm rebuilding it. Huzzah!
Yeah, I got a grade 2 or a fairly significant grade 2 drop in my AC joint was torn, and then my rotator cuff was torn. And it sucks, man. Like I roll over in the middle of the night and it wakes me up. It's that painful all the time.
I'm in that boat as well. But I'm going to rebuild it. I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to do it every day, and I'm going to keep rolling jujitsu, and I'm going to keep throwing the kettlebell around, and I'm still going to do all the stuff.
You're going to keep stop being a baby.
Yes. That is the professional terminology.
That is the terminology.
I'm going to stop being a baby.
Go see your sports therapist, your physiotherapist, and any other therapist, and they should all be saying the same thing. Stop being a baby.
You know what? That should be that's going to be a new t-shirt right there. Merch. Stop being a baby.
Take down that thing that's hanging over the pantry that says live, laugh, love, and just put up stop being a baby.
Stop being a baby. I like that. Well, with that, any final thoughts on
That's
anything
the closer,
we
baby.
covered? That's it right there. So first off, what we should do is learn how to stop being a baby.
That's right.
We should build ourselves to stop being a baby.
That's right.
And we should grow past being a baby.
Grow out of your diapers.
Every day.
Every day.
Here on the Collective. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Chimo.
Oh, man.